Guys, so this is the continuation of our triangle Boubou top. For the cutting aspect, the link will be in the description box. And sorry about my voice, I have cold, so please you guys should just bear with me. Hi guys, my name is Fatima Yusuf, and on this platform I share sewing tutorials. If there's something you like to learn, let's get to it. So we've done the cutting, we've cut out the lining, we've stitched the addition at the sleeve area, right? Then now we'll work on the front piece. So you're working with your sample lace. I bought 1 yard of sample lace, but I didn't finish using it. So it actually depends on the wideness you want for your sample lace. I was aiming for 5 to 6 inches. So all you need to do is just cut out your sample lace. Desired wideness plus maybe 1 inch, so I can take ½ inch for sewing, the other ½ inch for sewing outside. I cut it was more than 6 inches, but at the end I ended up having my 5.5 inches. So just folding your sample lace. My sample lace, the length was 60, so I cut out 3 pieces aiming at same wideness. Later on I had to cut out another one, so I used 2 pieces from the one I cut out first. Then the last one I had to cut out something that was a piece that was more wider than this one because of my neck area. I wanted my neck area side to be wider. After cutting out your piece, open up your front piece, and now you're stitching your sample lace in such a way that the stitches won't show, right? You stitch it as if the sample lace is coming out from your Ankara fabric. So how do you do that? Place your sample lace front face on your piece, and then you stitch by ½ inches. When you stitch at the down part too, so that when you take it up, so I did the side first, so I stitch, right? I did not stitch at the edge of my Ankara fabric. I marked the 5.5 inches I was aiming at, and then I placed my lace on it, front face facing front face, and I stitched by ½ inches. So when you turn it over, it's going to look as if the lace is coming out from your Ankara fabric. When I got to this the middle part of my front piece, I stopped there because I'll be folding in the end part. But you can just do it the way you want, but that's the way I did mine. So I did the other side also same way. Then now for the front side, I noticed that the third piece won't be enough. If I sew it on it like that, the neck area side won't be wide, to be very small. And I didn't want that. I want the neck area part to be wide. So this is me trying on the third piece, right? And then you see when I place it, you see that what you have under your neckline won't be much, and you're still turning the neckline again. So I had to cut out another piece that was way wider than my initial piece. And then when I did that, I still maintain my 5.5 at the sides, but the neck area line I actually made of more than 5.5 inches. Just watch carefully, you understand better. You can do your own in a different way. You must not do what I'm doing. Just get the basics, just get how I'm doing mine, so that you can improvise and do yours, you understand. So this is the larger piece I cut out. Then I did some design at the down part, like spiral designs, but later on it didn't come out the way I wanted because I need to stitch and then turn it over, so it didn't come out nice. If I wanted doing that style, I would just stitch my back face of my lace with my front face and then use something to cover the edge, but I didn't have anything. So even after doing this type of my stitching, where your sample lace look like it's coming out from your fabric, right, you might want to, it's not as if you can decide to put bias at the edge. You can buy rice lace. I've seen people use rice lace and it comes out very nice. You just stitch your rice lace at the edge. So even if you're using rice lace, you might not need to actually do this my style of stitching where you stitch front face then you turn it over. No, you can just place your lace on the front face of your Ankara fabric. That's the wrong face of your lace, and then you just stitch. So now your stitching will show. So you now use that rice lace or that bias to cover where you stitch, and you are good to go. But I will just do this. You can see the style I was trying to create here, right? Later on, after stitching, the style didn't come out. So in case you want to do this style that I'm doing, right, that means you don't need to stitch front face facing front face. You just stitch it to your fabric, your right face of your fabric, then wrong face of your sample lace. You stitch, so your stitches will show. Then you need something to cover that stitches up, so that was going to come out, that will bring out this shape that I created. But me, I just stitch, and later on the stitches didn't really didn't come out the way I was aiming at, but not bad, still came out nice. So after stitching the same way I stitch the two sides together, measure where you want to cover, then at the down part you stitch your lace to it, right face facing right face. Then when you turn it over, you are good to go. And then after stitching all this, you need to use your hemming glue or your hemming gum or your hemming tape to tape it down. Or in case you don't have it, you can stitch, but you will be careful while stitching so that the lace will not move, you understand. So, and then at the edge, I'm going to be top stitching that edge. You can see I top stitched 3 edges because I did not make the lace to overlap on each other. But if you want to top stitch, you just make the lace to overlap on each other. that's just it. But me, I top stitched my own side, the 3 angles, sorry. I took it to my ironing spot and then I ironed, and I'll be using my hemming tape like I told you earlier to tape the lace down to the fabric so that I can get a neater result. But in case you don't have an hemming tape and then you want to sew, you can carefully sew. You be careful while sewing because of the lace so that it won't move and then it will now spoil your dress. Just use my tape. You don't even need to use much hemming tape. I just used few. Like you can see, I just did 2 lines and then I ironed. So I'll do that for both sides. And like I said, I'm going to be top stitching 3 angles, right? That's where the edges of all the piece meet. I'm going to show you the sides, the angles I'm going to top stitch. So this is one of the angles. You see the down part, right? I'm going to put my hemming tape, and that's what I'll be top stitching after when I'm done. You see that they align, right? So I can just top stitch at the top of my fabric. But if you don't want to top stitch, you can just make one to overlap on each other, you understand? And then you are good to go and use your hemming tape and you are good to go. I'm also going to put the hemming tape at this side also. So you're putting your hemming tape at the 2 sides and the upper part, since that's where you have your sample lace, right? Also here too, I'm also going to be top stitching at this angle also. So I'm top stitching at the down part and also the 2 sides where my lace, the end of my lace meets, right? So that's what I'm doing. I did not use too much plenty hemming tape, but if you have plenty, you can use plenty. But me, I just feel like it's okay like this. So this other angle too, I'm going to be top stitching later on. So after using my hemming tape, I'm going to go over to my machine and top stitch the angles I told you. So you see that's one, then this other side and the other side. That was where I stop stitch. Like I said earlier, you can use bias, you can use rice lace at the edges of those lace to do your style. You can put your bias and put stone on your bias. It's going to look nice. You can get fine rice lace and stitch them on the edges and it's going to look nice also. So I have to trim out my neckline area. So basically you don't need up to 1 yard. If you have half yard or more than half yard, you are good to go. So this will show you that you can use your bias or your rice lace at the edges, right? So after this, I'm going to go on and then line my piece, my front piece and my back piece. So for this one, you are lining everything fully. The neckline, the sides, the down part, you are lining everything. You're not taking in any allowance. Your lining needs to be equal. You are not reducing from your lining. And then for the tassels, while stitching, that's when you stitch your tassels to your dress. You can see I found the midpoint of the end part, and I place my tassels inward and I'll place my lining on it. So when I'm stitching, I'll stitch my lining together. So I'm going to stitch the neck area, the shoulder and the 2 sides together. And then while I'm doing that, I'm going to leave some space open unstitched at the side that I'm going to use and turn over my fabric. You know, you need to leave a space so I can easily turn over your fabric. So I'll notch my neckline area and I'll go ahead and turn my fabric out. So for the angle, you might need an object. I use my scissors to just point out those angles so that it can come out very sharp and neat, right? I'm going to do the same thing for the back piece also. And you know our back piece is 2 pieces, right? So basically you are doing it for 2 pieces and you're leaving spots, some space on stitch so I can turn out. I turned out the front piece, I ironed it, and I went ahead and stitched that place I left on stitch afterwards. So you see, you have something like this, right? Something for the back piece, and I stitched the back piece together using the allowance I had left. So from the top, I use a loose stitch down to where I know my zip will stop. I top stitch and I use a tight stitch and I top stitch when I got to the down part. Also, you put your tassel there too while stitching the down part, the way we did for the front piece. So I'm going to open up my allowance and impute my zip, stitch my zip, sorry. If you like stitching your zip when you're done, it's all good. By ironed I stitched the allowance and then I opened up and I fixed my zip to it, front face facing front face. That's the way I normally stitch zip to like tops and gowns. So you stitch your zip the way you normally stitch your zip to your dresses and you are good to go. After doing this, I'm going to go ahead and join our bodies, our piece together. So basically, I saw a method on TikTok and I said to try it out, but later on I didn't like it. So what the guy did was place his fabric front face, right face facing, wrong face facing wrong face, right? Then he stitched the shoulders by half inches, stitching it, turn it over. So when you turn it over, you know that your front face will come back and meet your front face, and then you now stitch half inches again. I didn't like it because it was looking to look too heavy at the shoulder side. So I feel like when you do this, when you do not turn your shoulder, you understand? That I told that when you want to use your rice lace, you stitch and then use something to cover your stitch. So you do this method, nice. But me, I went ahead and just do my normal stitching, front face facing front face, and then you stitch your shoulder and you're good to go. Because me, I've already turned my shoulder. In case you're using rice lace to cover your edges, you do not turn you do not stitch your lace the way I stitch my at the down part like this. You should do that method. It's going to come out nice. So I just did my front face facing front face and I stitched by half inches, and while stitching the shoulders together, I'll also stitch my tassels to it. I'll place it at the two edges. You can unstitch your tassels when you are done, but this one too is also good. After doing that, now we are going to mark our measurement on the body. So from my shoulder, I went down by 10 inches. That will be for my sleeve opening. If your armhole is 8 or 9, don't use it. It will not come out nice. Use something a little bit wider than your normal armhole. Mine is 9. I made use of 10 inches. So I'm going to mark it on both sides, left and right. And then I'll divide my bust measurement divide by 4. And I'm going to impute it by the left and also by the right under my 10 inches. And after doing that, I make sure I measure that 10 inches again, because your 10 inches tend to like changes when you are moving from like the midpoint to the end of your fabric. I don't know if you understand, but when you're measuring, after you've impute your bust divide by 4, or when you impute, try and measure 10 inches again and then you mark it. So I did that for both left and right. Then downward again, I'm going to impute my waist measurement. Same thing I did. You measure from your shoulder down to where you want to be your waist, whether 16, 17, 18, right? And then from the midpoint, you impute your waist divide by 4 to the left and to the right. And you need to double check again, like I said earlier. Like now, I measured from my shoulder, right, down to the 16. After imputing my waist divide by 4, right, and then on that line, let's say I got 7. Then on that 7, I will now mark. I want to measure down my 16 again. You see that where the point will be different. Just try it out. You get to understand when you are trying it out. So this is me cross-checking if my 16 is 16. So basically, that's what you need: bust and your waist measurement, and then I'll join those 2 points together with a ruler. So after joining the 2 points together, then you just join from that your waist slantly to the edge or end of the fabric. That was what I did initially, but later on, you hold on, I'll tell you what to do from that your waist measurement, because I tried doing this first method I used, and then it didn't pass through my hips. You understand? So you are doing a different thing. I feel like you might actually leave the stitch around the waist area if you're going to be wearing a very high waist skirt. But in case you don't want that, this is what you do. You see, this was what I marked. I just marked it slantly to the edge of the fabric like this, right? But after stitching, like I told you guys, it didn't pass through my hips. Now this was what I do to show you people with an arrow later on to describe it. So now after stitching, this was it. So instead of that way, I didn't do that. Let me show you what I did. So from that your waist, you take it like this to the side. So there will be enough space for your hip. Do you understand now? And then me, around my bust area, I added 1 inches to the side, and the waist area also can be free. If you don't want it to be so free, you can leave your normal measurement divide by 4. It's going to look nicer too. So I hope you understand how I stitch the side. That your waist, you just take it to the side. Don't do it very slightly downward, or else it's not going to pass through your hips. And this is what we have, guys. Is this not looking so nice? Please try it out and tell me how yours went. Show me. If you can show me, let me see it, because I can't wait to see you guys retry this. Tried on a trouser and it was looking wow. I also used a fleece skirt and it wasn't bad either. So you can rock this with different wears. So guys, if this has been helpful, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up, your comment, and subscribe to my channel. Please try and be watching my videos to the end so that I can meet my goal of watch hour. So thank you so much, guys, in another video. Bye guys, and don't forget to send in any requests, and I'm going to see to it by God's grace.